Hello everyone, welcome to Cook It Out. I know that I posted the last video quite a while back. Actually, I had gone on a vacation and then I just became lazy and busy. Finally, I am back with another recipe for all of you guys. This recipe is so addictive. You're gonna fall in love with it. You're gonna crave it every day. I'm going to make Paneer Bhurji today. In English, we can call this recipe spiced scrambled cottage cheese. Let's get into it. So first, let's turn the gas on and put the kadai on top. You can use any pan so that it gets really nice and hot. So in just a minute, the pan is nice and hot. Let's use around half a teaspoon of jeera seeds, that is cumin seeds. We're not going to use much, but just a little bit for that hint of flavor. So always make sure you dry roast your whole spices because that enhances their flavor before you put oil in them. Just stir these around. So just in 30 seconds or so, you'll start getting this beautiful aroma from the jeera seeds. Now what we need next is of course some oil. I tend to use refined sunflower oil because it's a very good source of vitamin E. Now you can choose any refined oil that you want. You can use olive oil, 2 teaspoons of oil in. Now you can use a little less oil if you want to cut down on calories, but oil gives this dish a really nice flavor and helps us brown the onions properly. Now that the oil is nice and hot, what we'll do is we'll put in our onions and ginger and garlic paste. So I've diced around 2 small onions over here. Let's put those in. I'm going to leave just a little bit of them, just a handful of them, as you can see over here in the other camera. I'll tell you later on what to do with these. Now is the time for some ginger and garlic paste. So I've made my own ginger and garlic paste, the details of which are right on your screen. But you can use store-bought ginger and garlic paste as well. In case you do, use just around 1 tablespoon of that. You might be wondering why I did not put it in the beginning. Well, because the pan was quite hot, and if I put this in hot oil, the ginger and garlic is just going to burn. Make sure the heat is on high and just stir this around once. Once you've stirred this all up, let it sit for a little while so that it sweats, which means that it's going to lose a little bit of its moisture. It's going to develop a color, basically shallow frying the onions. So just occasionally stir it, and whenever you think that it is starting to stick to the bottom, whenever you think that the onions are going to get burnt, you know the trick, right? Just take a little bit of water and splash it in the pan. Okay, so as you can see in this camera, just in a couple of minutes the onions are nice and brown. So as you can see, I've diced a lot of tomatoes over here. So I've actually used 5 small to medium sized tomatoes. The exact details are on the screen, and just dice them finely and at high heat throw them all in. I've used a higher ratio of tomatoes with respect to the onions because paneer itself has a very dense flavor. Tomatoes bring that tanginess, that freshness. Let's just stir it all up. Keep the heat on high. We do not want chunks of onion and tomato coming into our mouth, and that's why I have used finely diced tomatoes and onions. Now, since tomatoes have a lot of water in them and we've used such a high quantity, it's going to take some time for them to lose their water and to develop that dark, thick color and flavor. Now, for that, make sure that the heat is at high and let it sit for some time. Don't worry about it. It's not going to burn because the tomatoes themselves have a lot of water in them. So I hope you can see in this camera that the tomatoes have gone really dry. So once again, our good old trick comes handy. Splash a little bit of water. Water doesn't just stop things from burning, it allows the heat to spread around, making things develop a better color. Can you see how much these tomatoes have reduced? Absolutely amazing. And the color has also changed. They look darker now. I'm going to turn the heat down to a simmer and we are going to spice things up. Let me try to make all the spices apparate from this cupboard onto the shelf. Alright, so we have our spices here. First, let's begin with salt. Now, one good thing about this recipe is that you can adjust the salt anytime. It doesn't have any large chunks, so whenever you put salt, everything is going to absorb that salt easily. 1 teaspoon of salt. Then just a pinch of Heeng, that's compounded Asafoetida. This aids digestion and has a very mild flavor. Then we are going to use some turmeric, around 1/3 of a teaspoon of turmeric in. Then we are going to use some red chilli powder. I will use half a teaspoon of it. You can increase or decrease the quantities based on your preferences. Then we'll have some Dhania powder, that is coriander seed powder. I just love it. So 1 teaspoon of this in, has a really beautiful fragrance, complements the flavor of the cumin seeds very well. Now finally I am taking some Kitchen King masala. You can find it easily in any supermarket. If you do not find this, then you can easily use garam masala as well. The flavor profile in that case will be just a little different, but it will be tasty nevertheless. I just love using Kitchen King masala. It smells absolutely amazing, has that tanginess to it. So I'm going to use around 2 teaspoons of this in this recipe. Then we need some black pepper, not much, just a couple of pinches of black pepper. Red chili powder has a very tangy, acidic spiciness. It hits you more on the front of the tongue. Black pepper on the other hand hits you on the back of the tongue. So using them both allows us to have a well-rounded spiciness in this dish. Let's just stir this all up. As you can see, really nice and thick, hardly any moisture left. So as you can see, it's become really nice and thick. You must be thinking that I'll put even more water now. No, what I will put is some milk. Yes, I have full cream milk over here. So we are taking half a cup of milk, which is 125 ml to be very precise. And then let's put it all in. Once the milk is in, turn the burner to maximum heat. So the milk has started boiling. Let it boil for some time. We want it to evaporate so that it leaves behind that creaminess, that richness. So as you see, now we have this nice and thick paste. I'll just bring out the paneer from the fridge, and in the meanwhile, I'll turn this to a simmer and cover this up so that it keeps on cooking and the chunkiness of the tomatoes and onions goes down even more. We need a homogeneous gravy. Let me get the paneer out. Okay, so this is a huge 500 gram block of paneer. We'll see how much goes into the recipe and then I'll tell you exactly how much I've used. So take the lid off. Smells good. Take a grater and take the big side of this grater and then just start grating your paneer into this. Now if you don't have a grater, you can also use your hands to just crumble the paneer in. This recipe goes really well with homemade paneer because it's really hard to give a definite shape to homemade paneer. You must be wondering, why have I grated and not just crumbled with my hands? Because it just gives a smoother consistency to everything. Okay, so we've used 250 grams of paneer in, and as you can see, this is the consistency that we get out of it. Now we won't cook the paneer too much because the creaminess of the dish is what makes it absolutely delectable. Let's just taste a little bit. Absolutely delicious. Now goes in one of my favorite garnishings, and that is Kasoori Methi. A handful of this. So that was just around 1.5 tablespoons of dried fenugreek leaves. Stir it all in. Smells amazing, tastes absolutely delicious. Let me just put it into this bowl. Until then, the calorie and macronutrient details of this recipe are on your screen right now. Loaded with protein, casein protein especially. Now casein protein is something that is a slow release protein. Eating this before going to bed will ensure that you have a continuous source of protein in your body overnight, so that'll ease the repair of your muscles quite a lot. And now I'll also tell you why I kept these onions for the end. Well, these are for garnishing this. Now I'm putting these onions at the end because the recipe itself is very nice and creamy, but the onions add a very good crunch to it. So just top this recipe off with some onions and trust me, the flavor combination is going to be absolutely delectable. My delicious bowl of Paneer Bhurji is ready. You can have it as it is. It has great amount of nutrition in it. You can pair it up with some chapati. You can even have it with some buttered bread. I just love that combination. So after this video is over, I'm going to have this with some bread. And well, yes, that's it from my side. Thankfully, my camera did not give up on me because the battery on that is pretty low. I hope you liked the video. If you did, hit the like button, share it with your friends. Leave a comment down below if you have any suggestions or comments. Do not forget to subscribe to Cook It Out for more videos. Delicious, detailed, easy recipes with calorie and macronutrient information. See you very soon. Bye-bye.